tonight. We got to put it. It's on now. How are you, young lady?
Yeah.
Good.
All right,
Turn one mic.
He never uses his anyhow.
Right. Well, I'm gonna start.
I'm gonna turn these on now. So, oh,
Hi, Miss Black.
That's Matt.
all right. So,
Karen. How you doing? The three amigos are here.
Uh-oh. How you doing? How are you? I miss you in the office. I know they told me.
this is gonna be. I don't have my glasses with me.
You're
Now-
young. You're only 29 years old. Plus a couple. Well, okay, 32. The guy next to you is very old, much older than you. How you doing, Ed?
I get it right from you, Joe. I got from him, Mark.
How you doing, Ed? Artie, how you doing? How are you? Good. Ma'am.
All three of us. Never went in this. Told you to give me that back.
I'd like to call the stage session of City Council to order. Please rise for the invocation followed by the pledge of the flag. Heavenly Father, we come before you today in humility and faith. We thank you for all you have given our city and the many blessings on our individual lives. At tonight's meeting, we ask for your guidance and strength to make the right decisions for our residents. We also ask you to look on all the participants in the Ohio Swim Team program that was started by Eddie Black, is now continued by Coach Carlton. Amen.
Amen.
Man,
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Mr. Brown,
Here.
Mr. Ettinger,
here.
Mr. Pinnabone, Mrs. Rose,
Here.
Dr. Ruggles,
Here.
Ms. Sultana,
Here.
and Mayor Panto.
Here. Approval of the agenda. I'd like to table new business letter H.
Okay.
Move to approve. Second.
Wait a minute.
I'd like to make that a motion now to
I move there on H.
letter H. Thank you, Mr. Brown and Councilman Pinnabone. Any other additions or amendments? Corrections? Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Mr. Ettinger,
Aye.
Mr. Pinnabone,
Aye.
Mrs. Rose,
Aye.
Dr. Ruggles,
Aye.
Mrs. Sultana,
Aye.
Mayor Panto,
Aye.
and Mr. Brown.
Aye.
Action on our minutes of a March 27th meeting. Move to approve.
July 24th. July 24th meeting.
March 27th.
March 27th is on here.
I gave you the, I
The
gave you
updated
the updated one.
Okay. July 24th meeting.
Turn.
Is there a motion to approve? Motion to approve. Is there a second?
Second.
Moved in second. Any additions, corrections, or deletions? Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Mr. Pinnabone,
Aye.
Mrs. Rose,
Aye.
Dr. Ruggles,
Aye.
Mrs. Sultana,
Aye.
Mayor Panto,
Aye.
and Mr. Brown,
Aye.
Mr. Ettinger.
Aye.
At this time, we have our presentation of a certificate by Dr. Ruggles to Carlton Taylor, the coach of the infamous and famous Ohio swim team. Started a long time ago. Eddie Black, how long have you been involved in that program? years. 1953. Wow. Oh, 63. I was going to say 53, you were just born.
I was trying to
As a newborn, did your mother throw you in?
recalibrate.
When I was a kid, his mom and dad were very, very involved, and the Black family has been involved in our swim team, so it's nice to see the Carltons taking over and doing very well. extremely well, as a matter of fact, with the participation and winning. And as you all know, Heil Pool is used by Nazareth and even Parkland, which is crazy. Mr. Hopkins is here to tell you that within the next 2 to 3 years, Heil Pool will need at least almost $1 million in improvements. So it's something we're very proud of. It was given to the city by the Veterans of Foreign Wars, post 1470. That used to be up on Northampton Street. So, Dr. Ruggles, turn the meeting over to you.
Jonathan, would you please come up, and would all the kids come up, please? I thought that it was appropriate for the kids to give you the reward. The certificate is from City Council, which is from all the citizens of Easton. And the photograph, which you see up here on the screen, is from all the kids that you impacted this summer.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. The city's been a great partner, been very easy to work with and helped us a lot. And the kids and families and parents have all been just outstanding. Ed built a great culture over there, and I was just able to keep it going. So this is very, very much appreciated. Thank you very much.
Carl, tonight I'd like to especially thank you for your time. Volunteer efforts in this city are very important to us. It's the volunteers that have really turned around our city. And I remember being on the Heil swim team and diving team when I was a kid. And believe me, that water's cold in the morning.
Especially in June.
In June, right.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, kids. Thank you, guys.
I did. I dive it.
All right. Public hearing on Amon's liquor license. Who's
You
going to
guys don't have to stay, by the way.
Who's going to handle Amon's hearing?
Attorney.
John Kingsley isn't here. I thought John was doing it.
Thanks for coming.
Great job, guys. Congratulations to
He
you.
was?
Maybe he went to the bathroom.
I know Amon's is here.
Yeah. He,
Here.
He's here. He might have went to the bathroom.
Oh, he might have gone to the bathroom. Well, we want to thank Amon's for moving to East End downtown. They were originally out on Route 248 in Lower Nazareth Township, and they moved downtown, and we're very excited. The place is doing very well, but also it's because of the quality of the food and
absolutely.
one of the cleanest restaurants in town. I mean, really. John, you want to handle the Amon's liquor license for us, please?
So,
Excuse me 1 minute. Ed, you're going to get a new pool at the new school? Are they going to build a new pool at the new high school?
They're talking about it.
No way.
No, they're not going to do it again.
Not again.
Oh, my.
No, I didn't know that.
You would listen to me the first time.
That's
What
a
happened?
shame. That's a shame.
The whole conference. Yeah.
That's short-sighted. That is very short-sighted. They're going to spend $200 million on a new high school. At least they can do is spend another $5 on a pool. Well, we'd love to put it into the city. Well,
I was happy to hear that you guys are moving forward because Heil is aging and,
oh yeah.
I'm glad to see that you're keeping the community in mind because within the school brings everybody together in the community and with the swim team, these young kids have an opportunity to take with their education and their swimming ability. It gives them an opportunity once they get into high school to go to a college or possibly receive a.
Absolutely. With the number of drownings in the Delaware River, you would think that they would make sure when you go to high school, you have to, in order to get your diploma, you have to be able to swim.
We got both of them.
I know. I know.
That always was a case I brought up, and we actually had classes with the Red Cross on when training.
I remember.
Which I helped out
Yeah.
with too. I mean, those opportunities were available because Isle had the facility to teach kids how to swim. And with the swimming program, they learn how to
Yeah.
swim as well.
Yeah. Well, thank you. Mr. Kingsley.
Sure. Good evening, Council. Tonight, we are considering an application for an economic development liquor license to support Amon's Easton LLC. I think most people here are familiar with Amon's. They've been a partner in the city and one of our favorite restaurants for, how long have you been here now, Bally? 3 years? Is it 5 years? My God, it doesn't seem like it could be 5 years. And I should realize it's pre-pandemic because I remember that was a difficult time. I've lost track of time since the pandemic, but we've worked really closely with Bally and the family in terms of helping with their related, startup operations and continuing operations. And Bally approached me, I would say, probably the better part of about 6 months ago at this point, to kind of explore the possibility of working towards an economic development liquor license. They've been unable to obtain one on the private market due to expense and lack of availability. Getting a general liquor license has just not been opportune for them, and so we've begun looking into the opportunity to bring them an economic development liquor license. They have submitted an application. It has met all of the requirements of our ordinance 5717. And in accordance with that ordinance, we are required to do a number of things, including consulting local property owners as to any concerns or questions they may have about the application that they are proposing, and as well as reaching out to our Department of Planning and Codes and our police department about concerns they may have. They've cleared all of these reviews. We're now presenting this for City Council's consideration tonight as a resolution. And prior to doing that, we have to have, in accordance with the State Act, we have to have a public hearing on the subject. So tonight, we are opening up the floor for that public hearing to get public input as it relates to that applicant. And at that point, I'll leave it to City Council to open the public hearing, and we'll allow for public input. Bally is here to provide responses to any questions that may be raised in this context and to provide any input you'd like from him. So with that, I'll leave my comments.
Okay, I'll officially open up the public hearing. Is anybody from the public who would like to address just this issue? Anyone? Bally, would you like to give a presentation? Say a few words? Oh, you gotta come up to the podium.
Bally? Yeah.
It's being televised.
Thank you, everybody. My name is Baljeet Bansal, more known as Bally because people can't say my real name. So I just refer to the casino and the gym, and I'm like, call me Bally, that's good enough. But thank you. We've been working with John, for the last 6 months to get this license on board. Long story short, the current state of licenses in Northampton County is just out of control. When the last liquor license went for $400,000, that was from the Pennsylvania auction house. And just last week, we had 2 lawyers reach out to us, and they were selling it to us for $435,000. And when we do this simple math, the recovery on that is absolutely, it just doesn't match up the numbers. So I either need to fill my restaurant up every day, for 4 straight hours for the next 5 years, but it's not going to happen. So this was the next best route where we thought, it is what it is. I'm not interested in owning it anymore as long as I can have access to the liquor, because we also end up losing a lot of corporate business who want to come in, but the moment they find out there's no liquor, they go to the other, nice establishments. So yes, that's in a nutshell, that's what we want to do.
Just agree with you, it's way too much for liquor license.
Yep. So that's all in a nutshell. So we would appreciate your blessings,
Belle, don't you think butter chicken is enough for the city of Easton?
Well, we have regular clients from Manhattan, every week, so when they come in, they don't see the websites. You know, they're expecting, like, you guys have seen the restaurant. The moment they walk in, they're already assuming there's liquor here. But then they find out there's no liquor and they get disappointed. And when I do tell them, hey, you can go across the street in public market, you know, when you have high-end clients, they just don't have the whole notion of carrying a bottle, you know, so.
Definitely.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, the economic development license stays with the property, and so we're glad that you're getting that one because that means you don't have any plans of leaving.
Yes, yes, we don't, we certainly don't.
Any other questions for the public? You're gonna have to come up.
Yes.
You have to come up to the microphone. We got some complaints from people that they didn't hear people talking in the audience.
It's a hearing.
My only problem is that you don't have any specials for people who can't afford the prices that you're charging. So my suggestion is,
Yes.
as a good citizen of Easton, that you make a moderately priced meal for people who can't afford your pricing. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Good point. Anyone else? All right, I'll officially close this. What about any member of council? Any questions, comments? All right, then I'll officially close the hearing, and we'll address this
Consider resolution.
and under new business.
Thank you.
Thank you. We're at this point of our meeting, we're at public comment on agenda items only. There is a place at the end of the meeting for public comment on any item concerning the city of Easton. Is there anyone who'd like to address city council on agenda items? Seeing none, we'll move on to the consent agenda. There is no consent agenda tonight. There's no reports received by council, so we'll move right into reports of committees. Finance Committee, Vice Mayor Brown.
No report, Mayor.
No report. Economic Development, Councilmember Pinnabone.
Thank you, Mayor. All right. Economic Development Office submitted their 2024 budget the first week in August to the mayor and to Lewis. Oh, sorry. Economic Development Department submitted their 2024 budget. 25 budget, the first week in August to the mayor and to Lewis. They've been working with Amans on their liquor application that we just heard today. And they are assisting Shiloh's Phillips Street Affordable Housing Project and the extension of the sanitary sewer. Lastly, just an update, Mayor, and as you know, I've been working with the Heart of a Legend Foundation, the Champs Foundation, and we just locked in June 8th of 2025. We're going to bring back Larry Holmes Kids Day for the city. So anybody that remembers that, I still might have one of my shirts somewhere, but it was a great event for every child in the Easton area. So,
In a small little parking lot.
right. So we're bringing that back June 8th, and hopefully it'll be every year. Mayor, that's all I have.
Okay. Planning and Coach Committee, Councilmember Rose.
Thank you, Mayor. I just have a short update. I wanted to thank Julie Clip-Lundy and Eric Szabo for quickly handling a downtown sidewalk safety complaint that came in over the weekend. It was handled within an hour on Monday. And with Dwayne's absence, the head of planning and codes, it's nice to know we have a responsive team in place. So I just wanted to give them a shout out. I appreciate their efforts. The next zoning meeting will be held Monday of next week at 6 p.m. and the agenda is on the city's website. That's all I have. Thank you.
Public Safety Committee, Councilmember Ruggles.
I have no report tonight.
Public Works Committee, Councilmember Eddinger.
I have no report, Mayor.
Administration Committee, Councilmember Sultana.
I have no report, Mayor, but I do want to let the public know that I am working with the Eastern Salvation Army to run a food drive, and the date is like 17 and 18 this weekend, and the next weekend, 24th and the 25th. We will be posting location, drop-off location soon, but if city can help out with the organization, that would be awesome. That's all I have. Thank you.
Okay, Cruise Night, just Mayor's report. Cruise Night is this Saturday again. It's always the third Saturday of the month. This month features Joyous is going to join us, and we always have Joyous, and it's when we miss John Sproat the most. Sunday night and all day Sunday afternoon is from noon on is the Easton Echo Festival, which is really the old Easton Veggie Festival. So the Chamber of Commerce is running that on Larry Holmes Drive, And Monday night is movie night up at Nevin Park. So we have a bit busy weekend, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. Also want to mention that construction has started on the former church at 840 Ferry Street. It's 840, right? 842 maybe? I think it's 840.
Yeah, 840.
840 Ferry Street, and that's going to create 4 affordable housing units, which will be the first that we create. We also plan to 6 on Phillips Street and 4 at the Porter McAdam Playground. Our meeting, we had a very successful meeting with Bob Burns last week. Bob is the executive director of the Trek Foundation. Dave Hopkins presented plans for our bike trails and bike park, and we made the request for roughly $1.5 million, not a lot. But he was very receptive to our ask, and I think we made a good impression that we won't get $1.5 million. He's very much it supports the reason that the local community has to raise some of the money as well. So we're looking forward to that. Also, instead of the next Tuesday night meeting, we're going to have a parking summit, which will have members of the public on it, and announced several months ago now. That parking summit will be in this room. It'll take the place of getting ideas from the public, not just the staff. We have a number of recommendations we'll be making from our own parking summit, but that will be a very important meeting on Tuesday, August 27th, and I'll invite any of the members of the city council who want to be there.
Tuesday, August what?
27th. 6 o'clock. 6 o'clock. Also want to mention that the Lehigh Valley Community Foundation has a grant from an individual who's giving the city of Easton $90,000 towards the bike trails that are being planned for Lower Hackett. And, but we also have $50,000 from an individual for expansion of the Carl Stern Arch Trail, which we're really excited about. And Jim Toya just sent me a picture of the new sculpture that will be on the trail. I don't know where it's going to be, Dave. Do you know where it's going? The cookies and milk, or I forget what it's called. Oh, okay. I don't know where it's going either, but it's going down on the Carl Stern Arch Trail. And I just wanted to thank the Carl Stern Arch Trail volunteers, the Friends of the Carl Stern Arch Trail. They've done a great job of getting outdoor sculptures.
Beautiful down there.
I mean, they have many more sculptures than I thought they would have by this time. Also, I'd like to mention that the Easton Lions Club has made our first donation to the community center in the West Ward of $50,000 from their foundation, so we're excited about that. Also want to mention ICMA certification that Mr. Louis Campos just received, the credentialed manager designation. ICMA is the International City Managers Association. It's all the city administrative professionals, and want to congratulate Louis on receiving that.
Yay, Louis.
Obviously,
Good job, Louis.
his role very seriously. All of our directors go for additional training to learn more about what their job is. And so, as a person who's been involved in the United States Conference of Mayors and the National League of Cities, and the ICMA, by the way, I don't even know if you know this, but Bill Hansel, who's the former executive director, was the executive director when I was here, and then he became our consultant for the charter. So anything we don't like about the charter, we got to blame him. And then he was the director of the Pennsylvania Municipal League after being the finance director in Allentown. So he's a local guy. He lived in Lehigh Valley at the time he was our consultant. And then he became the ICMA executive director. I saw him at all the National League of Cities meetings. So we're very excited about that. I also want to talk a little bit about the code of conduct. I received copies of emails from our solicitor. So I went back and looked at the tape of that meeting, and I'm very concerned that one of our councilmen has said I was disruptive, and I violated the code of conduct. And I don't understand that, because I watched that and I just didn't see it at all. Disruptive behavior means when you disrupt a meeting, and with anger and vicious conversation and calling people racist and calling people child murderers and things like that. That's disruptive. Being involved in the conversation about the topic isn't. And by the way, I wasn't involved in the conversation at all, so I'm not sure exactly what Mrs. Sultana was talking about. but I would like to know, so, but she didn't come to me, so. And the city solicitor doesn't run the meetings, the chair runs the meetings. So if you have a problem with the way the meetings are being run, you bring it to my attention, not to Mr. Shear's attention. He makes decisions based on legality, not on running a meeting. So at that time, I also want to mention that on August the 25th is Clam Jam. But in addition to Clam Jam, I have a group of really active people who are looking to build a skate park in Easton. And we've already hired the designer to do that. It'll be located, right now, it's located down on the Lehigh Drive at the bus parking lot, right around the bend, along with parking. It's not in a neighborhood, so we won't get the neighborhood complaints that we got when it was at Porter School. But on August the 25th, as part of Clam Jam, we're going to close the circle, which will be closed on 3rd Street anyway, because they go all the way up 3rd Street, past all the way up to Wells Fargo. And the skateboarders will be setting up a small festival at the Skeggies Quadrant. And they will be also fundraising for the skate park. They have, interesting, they have T-shirts designed. The logo for the park is the bugler on top of a skateboard. So that's it. The buglers was put up there in 1861. I don't think he's like me. He's too old to skateboard, but it'll be an opportunity for them to sell their T-shirts and raise some money for the skateboard park. So, move on. Report of the. Go ahead.
I just had a question. To the comment you made regarding councilwomen, apparently I was mentioned, I was disruptive in that meeting too. Do you want to tell me, I watched the meeting as well, I don't know where I was disruptive, or the mayor, you want to share that with us, or?
First of all, I want to ask Mr. Shear a question about the code of conduct, right? Who would be enforcing that?
Am I on? The way I read it, the primary person is the person who's running the meeting, and every council person, if they feel, for example, that they've been slighted, they have a right of personal privilege according to the code. The way I was reviewing it after your inquiry, so you would raise it really at the time of the meeting. That's where there's a personal attack, or someone feels there's a personal attack. The general comment of what disruptive conduct is very subjective. So I still you'd have to defer to the chair, bring it up as a discussion item if there's something about the tenor of the meetings that one would feel violates the code, and ultimately anybody has the right to actually file a complaint with the city clerk, and from there would be further discussions. I mean, when you go through all the chains of all the remedies, the worst, I think that the whole effort is to make sure there's civil discourse and respect for every member of not only the council between themselves, but the people who attend, the citizens, and the interrelationship during the course of meetings, not only for council, but for all the other types of meetings we have. That was the goal of when the mayor put together the code of conduct, and I hope I answered that question.
And if chair doesn't follow the rules, then who can enforce that code of conduct?
Well, you would have to bring it up as an issue for council to decide, is the chair somehow frustrating the purpose of the code of conduct, and try to hopefully you could work it out by some discourse even before or really after a meeting. I think the whole code of conduct is going to be a learning process for the members of council itself, because if you really have to sit down and read it carefully the way it's structured, because you're supposed to be addressing each other as council person Sultana, council person Ettinger. I figured I'd get you into this finally.
And what rule I broke by sending you and Mr. Lewis.
You didn't
email.
break any rule.
Okay.
Your letter to me, your email to me, I consider totally appropriate. I'm here to help respond to any legal-related question. How the code of conduct applied can be a legal-related question. So there was absolutely nothing wrong with doing that. The best way for me to address the issue is to bring it up to the chairperson himself to be aware of it. I wasn't making any judgments at all about what you were stating, and it's totally there's nothing wrong with doing that. I just can't be the remedy in other than educating.
And
members.
the email was copied to the
Mr.
chair.
Campos.
And from you, the email was
When I responded,
copied to the chair, right?
yeah, when I responded to you, I included the chair because it was really just going over what I thought the process would be, and that the chair needed to confirm that he was aware that you had this issue.
Was there
I'm
any-
sorry, Mr. Finer. Go ahead.
Was there a word mentioned like somebody violation the code of conduct? Is this in my email address? In my email?
If you want me to try to find the email, I could, and you don't care if it's public, I could.
No, I don't mind,
What the questions are, because
because now a simple email is taken so personal, and the words that I have not used are being used. I think it's okay to bring it to the public, because I have not used the word violation. I respectfully emailed because I asked a question to the union member, and instead of them, there were noise, right? I mean, and that's exactly what I complained about, right? I just wanted to make sure it doesn't happen again.
yeah, and if I may read it into the record.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because I agree with your interpretation. The city council, it's addressed to me, the city council passed a code of conduct about 2 months ago, but unfortunately there's been no enforcement of it. Mayor Panto and Councilman Pintabone have been constantly disrupting meetings, and that's a direct statement. Whether that's true or not, I'm not here to judge that. The most recent incident occurred when I asked a question to the union members about the contract, and instead of letting them answer, Mayor Panto and Pintabone jumped in and caused a disruption. Again, that's a judgment call. I'm not making that judgment call. I would appreciate it if you could consider enforcing the code of conduct as soon as possible. That's the conclusion of the email, and that's where I responded. Do I have my response? Let me see, because it's good for everybody to hear the response. I am Councilperson Sultana. I am copying the mayor as the chairperson, since he is the first line of enforcement. Should something occur during a meeting, it is best, and the code allows it, to raise your concern that the code is being violated. You also have the right to file a complaint with the clerk if not sufficiently addressed. As solicitor, I can answer questions with respect to interpretations, but I'm not vested with control of the conduct of the meeting itself. Your email is a reminder that there is a desired standard, so hopefully time will help the learning process. That's my response.
I'm just trying to figure out what happened in that meeting. I mean, I haven't heard from you. What was the problem?
I just asked a question from the union, right? And there was some kind of buzz started coming up from the other side, and Mr. Pintabone said, you should be asking this question to the private corporate, something like that. But I was not addressing the private corporates over here, right? I was addressing the union. So bringing these kind of question and interrupting while actually union was trying to answer my question is not appropriate. And that's all. And it was a simple email that has been taken too personal and offended. I asked them to do violation of the code of conduct. Come on. I mean,
If I may,
response should be, you are correct, it should not happen again. That should be the response.
No, the response should be that you are the first person who's been elected to this board who's been disruptive?
Mayor, did
That-
we not pass the code of conduct? And I respected that. And I was the first one to email you, Mayor. You did a good job by writing this code of conduct, and I'm in favor of that, right? And now, after passing the code of conduct, now it's our responsibility to follow the rules. And if I don't see anything appropriate, we should be taking care of the stuff instead of making another big issue. That's the point.
Mayor,
There has been a lot, yes, but we passed the code of conduct for a reason, and I supported that. And I want to make sure the meetings are run correctly, and you're doing a great job. But my question is, whenever I ask question to anybody, I always hear buzz, which is not good. And we need to work on that. And it was completely a simple email, a simple request to enforce the conduct that, Mr. Mayor, you introduced. Simple as that.
I'd like to request if anyone has issues with the code of conduct during the meeting, they just bring it up at the time. We're really wasting a lot of time right now. And
That's true.
even the idea that we needed a code of conduct, why was that?
why was that?
Because we were dealing with, in my opinion, better clarify that, we were dealing with issues of international politics, not local politics, not local concerns. We were dealing with people telling us, fellow councilmen, calling us names and telling us that we were child murderers and we didn't care, we were racist. I mean, she has called me a racist many times. She goes on social media and tells lies. She says I own multiple properties and businesses. I own one piece of property, the property I live in. So I don't know where you get your information from, but wherever you're getting your information from, you should fact check it, because you don't.
Mayor,
And
I'm not here to debate you about those, no. Because
own one
I can
house.
bring up a lot of stuff, but at this moment, I'm trying to clarify the email. But if you want to make it a huge deal and take it so personal, then don't expect our
It
respect
is
from
personal,
me.
Miss Sultana.
It's
It is
personal?
personal. When you
Councilwoman.
attack me and my wife, it's personal.
Mr. Mayor, you are the one introduced the code of conduct.
Oh, now
And
we're-
now you are violating everything. Like,
I'm not
come on.
violating anything.
I don't feel there was any violation at that meeting. I'm sorry. But
I
if you
think-
feel that somebody is being inappropriate or violating the code of conduct,
Say it.
I'm going to put my big girl pants on and say that, hey, let's go back to the code of conduct. You're being out of line.
You
Let's
have so
act,
many
let's act
avenues.
professional. We don't need to go firing off emails and bringing drama into this meeting so we get news bait.
You could have called a
Quickly.
question on that immediately.
Mayor Panto, if I may.
Councilman.
So, Mr.
Hold on 1 second. He gave it to me. Councilwoman, respectfully, it is personal because you said it was myself and the mayor that disrupted. If I disrupted a meeting or disrespected you, I would apologize. I try not to say anything in your direction unless it's being recorded. I'm just being honest with you, and I'll never change that. I won't ever speak unless there's a recording, if it's me or you. I take offense to you saying I disrupted the meeting. And for the public watching or here in the crowd, if you go to last meeting, 1 hour, 42 minutes, 35 seconds, you can watch. Councilwoman asked a question. The union answered the question. I developed the PLA. I brought the PLA forward for a vote. I piggybacked on what you said and said those are good questions for the non-union, reason why we need to pass this for the union. It was no disruption. Fred Cisco answered the question, and I piggybacked on what you said. What I think you're doing is making things up, which makes sense because your reelection is coming up. And this is what you seem to do when it's to get your name in the paper. If I'm asking everybody, and if we have to, which I wish we didn't, the last few months have been great. But if we have to, I would ask Mayor Panto to instruct the administration to have Mazin play that piece right now for everybody to see and let the public determine if there was anything. Now, I know we shouldn't have to,
I think we
but
need
the
to move on
allegations
from
are
this.
publicly
This
made
is-
on us, and it was a lie again.
If I may. since
What
my-
was lie?
There was no disruption.
Did
People
you
aren't
not-
allowed to talk.
Did you not say, when I ask a question to you, did you not say you should be asking that question to non-union?
No.
No.
What was said was, you asked them, they answered. And I said,
And they
Councilwoman,
answer?
those are questions that we should ask to the non-union, because they're the ones that make people work through their breaks, pushing for the union. This is you reaching for straws to get into the paper.
Then he answered that.
And then he answered it. But I never disrupted you. He answered, and I piggybacked on another reason why I wanted this council to approve it.
All right,
That was
there's no
all.
question to call, so I'm just going to end the debate, but I'm going to hear from Pastor Ruggles.
So many of you know that I am a professional in counseling people, and I've been to many council meetings within the churches, and I was on a conflict resolution team for my synod, and when I sit here and listen to this, where you're not really hearing each other and you're not really feeling, it is personal to each person. You are personally involved with your responses. Your voice got very high. You were almost shouting. That's a personal. I would get like that. You take it personally. My suggestion as a public person, okay, and a professional, you guys all need to do like a little retreat and learn about each other so this stops. This is ridiculous. As a public person, and you're our elected people, I'm like, oh my gosh, they're acting like children. Not just children, but you can't hear each other. And how can you do the best work that we can do when you don't have to always agree with one another? And the respect I have seen, you know, but we have to understand, why are you bringing stuff up like that and be able to tell people that? Why do you feel that's personal? Why do you get the response you do? So my only comment is, work harder. You know, if you want me to come in, I will come in as a I have nothing to lose here, and just let you talk to each other and say, did you hear what that person said? Did you hear what that person said? Because you guys need help.
Reflective listening.
If I may have some concluding words on this particular issue, because I really do believe that this whole code is a learning process, because we didn't have it before. It's an awareness thing, and I just want to read what's the pertinent section for future, not for the past, for future. From our code of conduct, use of civility and decorum in discussions and debate, section Roman numeral 2, by the way. Anyway, difficult questions, tough challenges to a particular point of view, and criticism of ideas are legitimate elements of free democracy in action. This does not allow, however, public officials to make belligerent, personal, impertinent, slanderous, threatening, abusive, or disparaging comments in public meetings or otherwise. No shouting or physical actions that could be construed as threatening or demeaning will be acceptable. If a public official is personally offended by the remarks of another public official during a public meeting, the offended public official may call for a point of personal privilege that challenges the other public official to justify or apologize for the language used, period. Now, I don't think anybody was accusing anyone of particular language, but you could get to, the issues of the volume of speaking, whatever. It just reemphasizes, A, what the goal is, and B, that it is appropriate to raise the issue contemporaneous with the concern by calling for a point of personal privilege if this ever happens again, which I can't imagine. And by the way, that invitation you just got is great, except for the fact that on the right to know law, we'd have to have that public meeting, and I don't know anybody that's gone into personal counseling in the public, so it's going to be very difficult to accomplish that. But you could do 3 at a time, as long as you don't have more than 3.
But she is right. I think we should learn to have reflective listening.
Thank you so much,
Mr. Campos.
Mr. Shield.
Mr. Campos, anything else? This is your report.
I don't
It's
have
a mess.
You don't have a report tonight?
I don't have a report tonight.
All right, Mr. Shear, you're up.
Okay, my report is what I just read previously. I have nothing else to add.
Thank you, Mr. Shear.
Thank you.
Correspondence, there's no correspondence. We're going to unfinished business. Madam Clerk, bill number 20.
Bill number 20, amending changes to section 475-28 connection charges.
So moved.
Moved in second. Any additional comments? Roll call.
Mrs. Rose?
Aye.
Dr. Ruggles?
Aye.
Mrs. Sultana?
Aye.
Mr. Brown?
Aye.
Mr. Eddinger?
Aye.
Mayor Panto?
Aye.
What did I leave?
Moving into new business, resolution supporting the Pennsylvania Commission for United States Semi-Quincentennial.
Thank you for reading that.
You're welcome.
Resolutions,
I just want to make sure you knew I could say semi-quincentennial.
okay.
When's the
You said it once, you couldn't say it a second time. Okay, a resolution supporting the Pennsylvania Commission for the United States Semi-Quincentennial America 250 PA.
So introduced. So moved, rather. So moved.
Second.
Moved in second. Any additional corrections? I shouldn't have to say this, but of course we are the third place where the Declaration of Independence was read on July 8th, 1776. So 1976 is going to be a big year for the city of Easton and for Lafayette College, which will celebrate its 200th anniversary.
Mayor, will we be not merging, but will we be working with the county also on that?
We're working with the county and the state America 250.
Okay.
Roll call.
Mr. Eddinger?
Aye.
Mayor Panto?
Aye.
Mr. Pinnabone? Mrs. Rose?
Aye.
Dr. Ruggles?
Aye.
Mrs. Sultana?
Aye.
Mr. Brown?
Aye.
Move on.
Resolution approving an agreement with Charlie Nance Steel Tree and Excavation LLC.
So moved.
Move in second. Roll call.
Mayor Panto?
Aye.
Mr. Pinnabone? Mrs. Rose?
Aye.
Dr. Ruggles?
Aye.
Mrs. Sultana?
Aye.
Mr. Brown?
Aye.
Mr. Eddinger?
Aye.
Resolution approving an agreement with National Water Main to rehab stormwater culvert.
So moved.
You need that money? Need to be repaired? Man, it sure does. Okay, roll call.
Mr. Pinnabone?
Aye.
Mrs. Rose?
Aye.
Dr. Ruggles?
Aye.
Mrs. Sultana?
Aye.
Mr. Brown?
Aye.
Mr. Eddinger?
Aye.
Mayor Panto?
Aye.
A resolution approving an encroachment agreement with Grace Flores at 325 Cattell Street.
So moved.
Move the second. Discussion. Roll. Dr. Ruggles.
Yeah, I have, there's a bit of anomaly here, I'll call it, but, looking at the drawing,
Microphone's not on.
I'm sorry.
Your microphone's not on.
Hello?
Now it's on.
Looking at the drawings, it appears as though, on the drawings that the, available width for walking, once the deck is on, is 4 feet. And if I read the application that the City of Easton Bureau of Engineering has, it said sidewalk areas must maintain a minimum passage width of 5 feet in that document. So one or the other is wrong.
It's actually the ordinance is wrong. Sir Hopkins, you want to address that?
I don't have a good answer for you.
Okay.
That's a good answer.
Some downtown are 3 feet.
I have to talk to the reviewer because I did speak with him after we went up and inspected it, and the intent is that the new business owner wants their deck to look just like the gyro concept deck next door. That's what.
Right, but
that's what.
they don't have a tree well.
Correct.
And so that tree well reduces the width of the sidewalk, and according to the drawings, from the tree well to the deck, it's 4 feet. And in the
Maybe there was an
document, it says
arrangement to.
I'm sorry?
Yeah, I'd have to talk to the staff to see what the conversation was with the business owner.
Okay.
What I guess there's a couple ways we could handle this. We could introduce it because it's an ordinance,
No, it's
or
a
it's resolution.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't know. I guess maybe we have to pull it until I can figure out what the measurement should be.
Well, I mean, as I recall, whenever we were doing stuff downtown, it was 3 feet,
3 feet.
right?
3 feet.
And I
Some are
didn't
less than that.
understand when I read this and I saw 5 feet.
Well, the ADA absolute minimum is 3 feet.
Yeah,
But I wasn't familiar with what our own ordinance, like, did they
Oh,
refer
okay.
to an ordinance, or is that,
no, this is on the application to encroach into public right-of-way. It's a form
'Cause-
that they had to fill out.
because we always prefer 5 feet. I mean, 3 feet's pretty tight,
Sure, sure.
but we do go below that in many cases.
Okay.
So we could pass it conditionally, and then, you know, I could get you an answer tomorrow. It's up to council how you want to handle it.
I have no problem with it, Dave.
Is there any, do they have a need to get started before the 2 weeks from now?
Yeah, I think they're trying to get their business open. I mean, 4 feet will still meet the ADA requirement. I'm just wondering about the 5 feet and whether that's on the form as the preferred width. I mean, I think we'd be okay with it.
Okay. Well, in that case, that's okay. I mean, it's fine with me. I just saw the anomaly between the two, so.
Unfortunately, when you walk around, like even the downtown, you kind of have to
Right.
go around fences and stuff for the outdoor dining.
May I ask a question on the distance, et cetera? The photos that were provided, are those just examples, or is that the actual deck already? Did they already build the deck?
Let me see.
No, not yet.
No.
They didn't build a deck yet.
That's the neighbor.
Okay.
That's
And
There's
you
a
don't,
deck
you-
next
and you don't
door.
know, and you don't know how wide the neighbors is, as far as sidewalk goes?
The neighbors is probably closer to 5 or 6, but they don't have a tree well.
That's the thing.
Okay.
Tree wells.
The tree
Yeah.
well squeezes
Yeah,
it
because
down.
the other thing, in looking at the photo, the flower boxes that are on the ground, I just see a tremendous trip hazard, but that's because it's so low, you know. They'd have a couple extra, but that's besides, that has nothing to do with it then. I thought I was looking at the applicant's, projection.
I'll go police them on my walk home tonight. And
You'll trip over it.
I know.
Just don't sue the city, you just join the property owner.
But I can speak with those guys tomorrow and find out what the conversation was with the owner.
I think we'd be hard pressed not to pass it because, I mean, I know, like, Bayou has a tree well, so you're gonna get all the restaurants downtown getting rid of their trees. And I certainly don't wanna do that, because that would be horrible, but.
Like I said, 4 feet will meet the standard. I don't like the conflict in the package itself. I just want to find
Right,
out why.
The ordinance shouldn't say 5, it should say 4.
That's the only thing. I don't know if it's an ordinance or if when they put it on the form,
Right.
whether
Wrong.
they put 5 feet, which is really a preferred width.
Yes,
Agreeing with what everybody said, I'll have to vote no. I just don't feel comfortable voting on it, only for precedent with something else, right? So if anybody else comes and we don't know exactly with the ordinance, I'm not just gonna pass it anyway.
well, the precedent is that we've allowed it for probably at least 10 or 15 others.
Oh, well.
I mentioned Bayou, I could also mention.
No,
Petaluma.
Well, I wasn't here for that, but I know we're talking about the walking with, we talked about it at Len's Court.
Yeah.
So I'd like to have clarity before I move forward so it doesn't get brought up to me later. But I mean, I'm fine if you guys wanna keep going.
I'm no problem voting for it, because I think 4 feet's more than ample. I mean, we allowed 3 feet, we don't allow less than 3 feet, but unless you're a downtown restaurant, there's some that are less than 3 feet. I mean, I ate at Setaluna the other night, and
It's crowded.
it's crowded with tables and everything on the sidewalk.
Yep.
It's hard. I would be hard pressed to get around in a wheelchair.
My issue isn't with just for clarity, my issue isn't with the width. It's just if the ordinance says 5.
Right, I agree.
That's my only issue, because we ran into that with Lynn's Court and the restaurants saying, well, they only have 2 feet, you're asking me for 5 and this and that, so.
The ordinance, I don't even believe calls it out. I believe we refer to the ADA language
Standard.
itself. And in the ADA language, you can have a minimum of 3, which is really not preferred. 4 is better, 5 is preferred. And I think what Dr. Ruggles is picking up on is when they filled out the application for the encroachment, the application says 5.
Right.
Not the ordinance.
Correct, but we're approving the application.
We are,
So don't we base it on the application?
and the opinion of the engineer who told me it was fine. So I didn't really think that much about it. He went up there, talked to the owner, inspected it, and said it looked pretty good to him. So maybe what we should do is just remove it from the form and put per ADA standard. That would probably be a better way to format it.
I'm just thinking back to the Lynn's Court. I'm sorry.
I think if that's, if you feel that the ADA standards should be the minimum, then we're fine, because the ADA standards are 3, they have 4 in their proposal, so that's fine. The only thing that's different is in that application, for some reason it says 5.
It probably always has, and I think that's always been a preferred, even with the former city engineer, always preferred 5, if he could get it.
But when we talked about, and I apologize, but when we talked about Lynn's Court, specifically Josie's and the other one next door, we told them that they had to have the 5 feet, right? We wanted them to move seating for 5+ feet.
Well,
for clear walk. I mean, that's what we said, and that's where the issue came, and they were upset about it, and we said, we want you to have 5. So now, but we're now.
That was where that's where the fire department was upset that they went and put a fence up with.
Right.
That was Pearlie's.
Correct, but then when the whole redesign, if you remember, they were going to lose their seating because they were going to lose some seating because they weren't 5. Their straight walking lane wasn't 5 feet. So they were going to lose. That's what they came and fought us on.
So when Omnes did their proposal, what they wanted was 8 feet. So we were going to give them 8 feet of seating. And the reason they did that was because there was a lot of bickering and back and forth and sort of squabbling between the businesses about whose space was whose, and we wanted to try and keep that newly built quadrant looking uniform and well planned. And if somebody takes way more space and it looks it's not uniform, it's really not fair. So Omnes went around to the downtown restaurants and measured their seating, came up with an average, and it turned out that with our proposal for the Southeast Quad, they all were either at or above the average. Pearlie's it's a spatial issue that there's no solution to. They're on a corner and 8 Center Square is on a corner, and if both of them come out, you won't have a space. And so that's where, unfortunately, it doesn't work for those corner properties. We just kind of have to work together to find the best solution. And I think now, I think things have been quiet. I haven't really heard from the restaurants on Lynn's Court. And the other thing they were upset about was there were pretty large bushes in the planters, so their businesses were blocked from view. It was tough to see them. And then when the fence went up, that's when sort of the fire department got involved and said, there's just too many people down here and you need to get out faster. And I think it could be, our standards should be applied to everyone equally, but Cattell Street, I think, is, if you look at the pedestrian traffic and it meets ADA standard, I think 4 feet would be adequate. I wouldn't want 4 feet on Lynn's Court. There's just too many people and it's too tight. So
in conjunction with the 4 feet, is there any evaluation done, especially because this is an encroachment agreement, so we're giving the owner permission for something they wouldn't otherwise have? Is there any evaluation on the nature of the sidewalk itself, and the idea that if you're going to have a 4 feet area, that it be a single concrete pad and not one that's broken up? Because I'm looking at this photo of the correct property, and there's a white line that I believe is what they must be proposing to be where that will go up to. And it looks to me you're going to have a little bit of unless they put flower boxes like the other one, you're going to have a little bit of overreach that could create a further hazard. And there's also the water drain comes right under there. I'm assuming it could still continue to flow all the way through, but I wonder if there's, I'm just wondering what we do in conjunction with the evaluation based on what remains of this public sidewalk.
I would need to speak with the staffer that went up there, who's usually pretty observant and good about those types of things.
Okay.
Unfortunately, this detailed analysis, I just didn't. I took his word for it and introduced it.
I'm not an engineer,
So-
so, I mean, I just,
So I'll take responsibility for
I-
it. It's my fault.
there just was a point in my career that I used to make money on slip and fall cases, so I, you know.
Then you probably have a good eye for those things.
Okay, what's the pleasure of the council? Who's supposed to introduce this one?
It's been introduced.
You've been
It's
introduced in a second.
Seconded.
So Dr. Ruggles had a question.
Yeah.
Any further conversation?
No, I mean, if the engineer's been up and thinks that it's adequate, and we've approved even smaller in other places in the city, I'm for supporting the small business people, so, I wouldn't have anything. Hopefully we'll change our form in the future, but other than that.
I've already marked it up.
Yeah.
We should look at that ordinance, though, in case
Yeah, oh,
that is
sure.
in the ordinance.
I will.
Because
I will. I'll do that tomorrow. I'll also go up there myself, and if something doesn't look right, you know, we'll just tell them they have to either shape their deck different to accommodate it, because when you do get to the tree well, that's where it narrows.
Right.
I mean, I think there's a number of ways we can work with the owner and get our needs met.
well, they could also ask for zoning relief, I'm sure, from that ordinance, could they not?
No,
Mr.
it's not a zoning issue. City of Easton has control of that right of way,
Okay.
and it's totally up to the city of Easton as to what encroachments it permits or not.
Okay.
If for some reason, I'll check the ordinance tomorrow, but I believe it refers to the ADA standard. We usually don't, I mean, obviously the city can't override the federal government and what the ADA standard is. But if there's some kind of conflict, I'll call Karen and just say, we're not doing this, and then we can come back with another encroachment agreement, and then the business is gonna have to wait 2 weeks.
Yeah, but you're voting
Well,
tonight
well-
on what resolution then? Because once you approve it, you've approved it.
Yeah, but you can't rescind it even if we don't.
We can add a condition, couldn't we?
Correct.
Well, that's what I was thinking.
Okay, well, let's do that.
Say pending review of the
Pending review by the
Well,
Public Works Department.
Yeah, I would just add one provision, and I don't think it's a substantive one, so I think it's okay to do, that it's a condition upon final approval and acceptance of our Public Works Director.
Okay, so who wants to make that
I would
amendment?
make that amendment.
Okay, we have an amendment to the resolution. There a second?
A second.
Second. Any other discussion on the amendment? Roll call on the amendment.
On the amendment, okay. Mrs. Rose?
Aye.
Dr. Ruggles?
Aye.
Mrs. Sultana?
Aye.
Mr. Brown?
Aye.
Mr. Ettinger?
Aye.
Mayor Panto?
Aye.
Mr. Pinnabone?
Abstain.
Okay, on the regular resolution now as amended. Roll call.
Dr. Ruggles?
Aye.
Mrs. Sultana?
Aye.
Mr. Brown?
Aye.
Mr. Ettinger?
Aye.
Mayor Panto?
Aye.
Mr. Pinnabone?
Abstain.
Mrs. Rose?
Aye.
Okay, moving on. Madam Clerk.
Resolution approving a developer agreement on stormwater runoff control facilities.
So moved.
Second.
Moved in second discussion, Dr. Ruggles.
Yeah, Dave, is this an MS4 facility? I'm sorry?
All three.
All three are.
Okay. I didn't read anywhere in the document, and as I remember in the MS4, we have to do some monitoring of the amount of sediment removal. Is that correct? Yeah, we have to verify. And there was nowhere in the document said that we're allowed to do that, or they should do it, or anything like that that I read. Should we incorporate that in? No, we have to do it on an annual basis. I know, but I mean, should we say in the document that the city has the right to go in and do sediment monitoring, or?
The resolution has a provision, the city may inspect the stormwater control facilities at any time. Is that the same thing as the inspection?
Okay,
Or would you
I
be
didn't
inspecting?
stretch it out that far.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sorry.
Inspect it and doing monitoring might be a little bit different in my
Yeah,
mind.
no, I'm just trying to figure out what is inspection if it isn't.
The They're all on a list that engineering inspects every year,
Okay,
so.
okay, that's fine. No more questions.
Roll call.
Dr. Ruggles?
Aye.
Mrs. Sultana? Aye. Mr. Brown?
Aye.
Mr. Ettinger?
Aye.
Mayor Panto?
Aye.
Mr. Pinnabone?
Aye.
And Mrs. Rose?
Aye.
A resolution approving an agreement with IPS Group for parking technology.
Motion.
Oh, that's me. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I so move.
Second.
Moved in second, discussion. Dr. Ruggles.
Sorry. Page 2, item 1.2. My math didn't add up to what it said there. So in 1.2 it says that you shall have the option to extend the term of the agreement for 3 additional 1-year increments. Our original agreement is 3 years. So if we can extend it for 3 1-year increments, I read that as 6 years. But then it says for a total period of 10 years.
You're correct. This is not right. This is
So I don't know which one it is. I mean, I don't know. I couldn't figure out how we could get to 10.
I didn't review this myself, but my guess is that these renewal provisions are always a topic within the solicitor's office of interest. We're always concerned about getting stuck there. I would not be surprised if the renewal periods got knocked down from that the vendor wanted longer periods, and somehow it got negotiated down to 1-year increments. In which case, we should really, they signed this already, but it should be changed to 6 years.
Yeah.
And I think what we could do is we can, if everything else is good and everyone's inclined to accept it, if they signed it already, that we approve it with the change to 6 years, subject to they have to agree to it, otherwise we go back to the drawing
Maslin,
board.
you negotiated this contract. What is your impression? Is it 6 years or 10 years? Because it is a 6-year contract.
I think this is probably something we missed. I'm not sure if Jeremy paid attention to it as well, but I think it says the municipality shall, so it's something that we can exercise. It's not a must. So,
But it should be 6 years, not 10 years. Were you expecting a 10-year contract or a 6-year contract?
no,
Six is
no,
better
it
for us.
shouldn't be 10 years.
Well,
Yeah.
either,
So, yeah.
I mean, 10 years, I think that's one way of looking at it. And the most important clause to me is the termination clause. And that's giving notice, giving a 90-day
Right.
notice.
Yeah.
So honestly, like, you could look at that paragraph, and ultimately, the paragraph that supersedes that would be 12.1, which is a termination of agreement for convenience. Then we have 90 days. There's also in 11.1 additional termination language. Honestly, we're not staying. I don't see us staying with a software company for 10 years. That could happen, but things change too much in this industry.
Well, I just think it should be changed to 6 because that's what it reads, and that's that. Even though it's our option, the problem you always have with the service providers when they stop providing the services, you have very little in the way of relief or remedies. So and if we have a good relationship and technology's changed, I'm sure they'll be proposing addendums, and we'll be dealing with something new. So. I think just to read correctly, we should not violate our respect for math. And 3 plus 3 plus 1 plus 1 plus 1 equals 6. So I would suggest that we amend that and consider it a typographical error to 6 years, and just alert the vendor if they don't like that change, we'll let them out of it. But otherwise, pass it with the correct that was just missed. I think that's how we have to assume, that it should have said 6. And I wouldn't be surprised if there was some other provision somewhere in there, and that's how it got mixed up. Or they may have submitted it where they had changed it for some other client, and the 10 years got swept along, and it just didn't look like an important factor when it was reviewed.
I think most likely we probably should pull it and just ask them to have a renewal at 1 year term, not even 3 1 year term.
Well, we have the option, so that's fine.
Just in case, the issue would be just in case if somebody forgets that 90-day notice.
You
Well,
know
we
what,
always have that
uh,
problem.
Mayor, if it's not an issue, then operationally, it's right. It's not an issue right now.
No?
Okay,
Well, it
then
kicks in.
then we should.
Kicking in next week, right?
I mean, the date by the time they, it's just, we have to change when the contract starts, so.
You always have to onboard
Yeah.
when you just because we signed the contract today, but then there's going to be an onboarding schedule. So if there's no issue, we should just take this off the table and we'll bring it back.
Yeah, it's not something we have to do right now.
All right,
so.
We need a motion to table it.
Motion.
Motion, is there a second to
Second.
table? Second. Any other discussion on this issue, Dr.
I,
Ruggles?
just a few other things that we may want to change while we're here. On section 5.4, very minor, but I think that the word in the first line there, it says any invoices amounts with are
Which
unpaid.
should have been which are.
Which are, okay. And then
Anybody taking notes?
I am.
Okay.
and then 7.1, IPS shall provide a limited 12-month warranty on the, as described in the attachment B. On the what? The equipment? What are you applying 1 year warranty on? Okay. And then probably the one that I was feeling that Mr. Shear was correct in saying that they just took another one and redid it. If we go to section 18, says that we are in the
Oh,
state of
Maine.
Maine.
Well, that's because it's such a great state.
And then later on, the jurisdiction is Knox County, Maine,
I'm glad we're taking this off the agenda.
and the Superior Court of Maine. So I think those might need to be changed also.
Cut and paste.
I put that in all my contracts.
You just want to travel. Okay, so there was a motion to table, and it was seconded, so roll call.
Mrs. Sultana?
Aye.
Mr. Brown?
Aye.
Mr. Ettinger?
Aye.
Mayor Panto?
Aye.
Mr. Pinnabone?
Aye.
Mrs. Rose?
Aye.
Dr. Ruggles?
Aye.
A resolution approving an application for a liquor license by Amans Easton LLC.
Motion.
Moved and
Second.
seconded. Any discussion on Mon's liquor license? Seeing none, roll call.
Mr. Brown?
Aye.
Mr. Ettinger?
Aye.
Mayor Panto?
Aye.
Mr. Pinnabone?
Aye.
Mrs. Rose?
Aye.
Dr. Ruggles?
Aye.
Mrs. Sultana?
Aye.
That's it?
That's it.
No.
No.
Yeah,
Oh,
no,
I'm sorry.
Well,
we
we
tabled,
tabled-
we
we
tabled.
I
tabled
was
it.
gonna say,
We tabled it.
Just one thing on that one,
Go ahead.
if you will. Mr. Shear, I'm not sure, on every contract I've seen where there's a signature, the name is printed below that signature. Is that just normal or what?
Well, I always like to have it typed since
Yeah.
since 3/4 of the signatures in this country are illegible.
Well, I know who it is, but,
Yeah, when Senator Brown was in office, he had passed some
Riley?
state.
I had nothing to do with that.
Mr. Riley's name's not on there.
When the other Senator Brown was in office, he had passed within the budget back then. They said J.B. Riley could sign it any way he wants, and it'll be good enough. But
Oh, Dr. Ruggles and I had breakfast this morning, and the young lady doesn't they don't teach cursive anymore in school, so. I
Nope.
said, how do you sign your name?
You can't write it.
She doesn't write her, she doesn't sign her name. She just puts it, scribble in the two swooshes at the end.
But you know, you're right. It should be printed. There should be printing underneath to indicate who it is signing. And in fact, the capacity is important. So if he's signing as a general part, how is he signing?
Exactly.
So that should really be added. I mean, we know the mayor signs as the mayor, the controller signs as the controller. We have no idea who this person is who scribbled JBR something. You know, when we talk about contracts, in all seriousness, you have all these documents signed today by DocuSign.
Yeah.
I mean, we have no idea who's really signing anything.
I sign every state contract by DocuSign.
And there is so much room for fraud and the fact that people, I don't think, are reading the contracts that they're signing. You know, I don't know when the legislature, maybe when Mr. Pintabone goes into governorship, he can introduce a resolution to indicate that there's a 3-day right to retract any contract signed by DocuSign. And that 3-day begins with when you get a hard copy of it to review. But that,
I'd like to bring a point of clarity here, Mr. Joel.
yes.
As part of the code of conduct, you're attacking a council person.
Fortunately, he wasn't listening to anything I said. So it's like if you're in the forest and you make a noise, does it? I mean, you know, if you're
No,
in the forest,
I try to listen to you sometimes.
if you're in a forest and the tree falls, does it make a
tried.
sound? I want to get it correct.
I try my best.
Gosh.
Anything else coming for city council?
I have one item.
Councilmember Rose.
Thank you, Mayor. I know we spoke a couple months ago about pedestrian safety at the crossings on Larry Holmes Drive. I'd like to request that we add that to an upcoming committee meeting. I've observed on Larry Holmes Drive, especially during this warm weather that we've had in the summer and the spring and continues into fall, the pedestrian crossing is very dangerous.
It's the most dangerous intersection in the city because.
Crystal, are you talking to one up towards Wawa? Or are you talking to one down further?
Right here.
Honestly,
Okay, that's what I'm
every
talking about.
single crosswalk,
it's
and
bad.
I've been observing it for like over the last month, and it just seems like it doesn't matter. Someone with a stroller, kids crossing to go to the park and come back. Particularly during rush hour, I see a lot of walkers and people walking their dogs in the morning when I leave for work around 7:30 in the morning to get onto 22 to go into New Jersey. People are speeding up when people are standing in the crosswalk. Someone is going to get hurt, and I know our police can't do anything until they're standing in the crosswalk. They are sometimes standing in the middle and people are still speeding past. I think patrolling is it's necessary. We need to start looking at that during the rush hour and the weekend. That would be one suggestion I would have. It's just getting out of hand. I was walking with my husband Nick with our 2 dogs. We do an evening walk every day, and we were crossing right by the Free Bridge to go towards Tapestry, that corner right there. And someone cursed me out for walking while I had the right of way at that It's just, but it happens all the time.
It does.
And it honestly seems like it's getting worse, not better. And I think it's because so many people are coming downtown, but they're definitely speeding. And I know we can't do much. We're not allowed to use like speed trap equipment and things like that. But I think patrolling, at least when people they have their feet in the crosswalk and someone is not stopping for them, they deserve a ticket. I'm sorry.
Hopkins are going to address the.
Okay.
You couldn't be more right. It's ridiculous. So I just wanted to give you just some background on what we have going on. So on September 11th, Traffic Planning and Design will be presenting to City Council. We just did an active transportation plan, which was sort of a high-level look at some improvements that we should be considering, both ADA and pedestrian crossing. And we have a Green Light Go grant that's in design right now where they're completely redesigning the Larry Holmes Drive Northampton Street intersection. we did that back in 2012, and I remember we ran into all kinds of problems with PennDOT because they have kind of an anti-backsliding rule where the level of service at the intersection can't degrade because of improvements. So it's still very vehicle centric, but we do have tons of pedestrian motorist conflicts there. So I'm hoping that design process can at least lead to some improvements. And coming on the heels of the active transportation plan, we have a Safe Streets for All grant, which was for a lot more money. That's about $150,000 effort to look at safety at all the intersections and segments in the city. And then finally, at Larry Holmes Drive and 3rd, we just got the signals in. PennDOT allowed us to go to a new type of signal where it's a green arrow, then a yellow blinking arrow, and then we're stopping the cars altogether. Because it's very difficult to cross from the gas station to the bridge because all those cars just keep turning right and they have poor visibility on the pedestrian. So thank you for bringing that up. We've been.
Oh, sorry, go ahead, Louis.
No, like what, if in a perfect world and if you had the unlimited amount of resources, what could we do to make those safer? Just, I mean, I know you're limited to your resources, your budget, and what you have, but what can you tell us? And maybe this is a bigger discussion that we can have at a committee meeting. I think.
I mean, the safest way to do it is to activate it with, have a pedestrian activation and not have that movement go. Sometimes I'm okay crossing Larry Holmes Drive and 3rd, but I kind of understand how it works. The average, there's always cars moving. It's very intimidating.
You almost have to stand in the middle of Larry Holmes Drive and then wait for someone to stop passing because you will stand there forever, and it doesn't matter what time of day either.
You have to treat this very aggressively. You have to treat this very. I think we have to treat this very aggressively, and perhaps we can think about some ideas. I mean, it's a lot more than I think we can think about because we haven't thought about it. That's the problem.
I think just initially, some light patrolling could possibly help because if people also, and I think that it goes beyond that for sure, and I agree with you. But at least in the meantime, maybe that's something we could do. If people start hearing that others are getting ticketed, it becomes slow down and stop for pedestrians. I mean, where I work in Clinton, New Jersey, cops are just known to ticket vehicles that don't stop for pedestrians, and it's just widely known, and you just see people stop. And I think that's just one way I think in the short term that we can address it, but I'd like to dig in and look at more.
The other thing that came up that I brought up too along the same line is that with the new construction getting ready to start up over here, Confluence, I'm concerned about the seniors that are coming across that street. We know where their walkways are already. That's not working for them, and the car is certainly not stopping for them. I like to see us do something with that too. As we go into construction, it's the best time to do it. Maybe move it down some. Maybe put like they do at certain stops where they have the flashy. Remember, like we did when we put the new one-way flashes up to make cars realize there's going to be people crossing there.
It's only going to be aggravated by additional people down here who are going to want to circulate with pets down to the waterfront. And
yes, I agree.
So, but we do think about it a lot. It's just there's a lot of constraints and a lot of things that prevent us from implementing good tools.
I do think that on Lafayette Street and Coleman, they put up one of those plastic signs in the middle, and I think that has a calming effect. I think cars do slow down not to hit it. So I don't know if you put a couple of those in. Now it's tricky by a 22 because people are making broad turns, and it's you got to sort of learn the slalom, but you have to go slower to do that.
Mike, the Ferrucci Florio law firm, you get to Scott Park, it doesn't help because it's on a curve. So you don't see it until you're around the curve and there's somebody crossing. Bad place for that.
First of all, the timing to do this is probably not great because, Dave, you're going to be away for a little bit, right? So, I mean, I think we should, because Dave said that, they think about this a lot. So I think it'll be good for his team, or for himself, to come out and then discuss what he's thinking about, especially in lieu of budget season coming up. So council can see what type of resources we may need, how much time it may take. We can bring grant discussion into this. And then also have PD address it as well, because it's a cultural thing. I mean, he can take care of the physical things, but the cultural aspect of
Gotta
it,
change it. We gotta
it's
put it-
also gonna start with, it's also gonna begin with council too. It's not just the administration. It's not gonna get done with the administration.
Yeah, because I get requests right now. There was a lady that was hit up by the gardens at Fifth and Washington,
Top of the hill.
and at the top of the hill, which is because when you get to the top of the hill, it goes real sharp,
Yeah.
and you can't see. And if you're making left on a right on Fifth Street, it's even harder.
Yeah.
When's the next, Dave, when's a good committee meeting that we can discuss this?
Well, the first Tuesday
In September.
is going to be the parking summit, I
Right.
thought.
No, that's the next Tuesday, 2 weeks.
27th.
Oh, the next one.
Yeah, the
So-
first Tuesday in September.
So,
The second Tuesday in September?
yeah, we could do it then.
All right, then, let's, is that-
Mr. Hopkins,
Does that give us a little time? Or are you-
Yeah.
are you- okay.
while we're discussing crosswalks, do you have an ETA for the 4th Street across from the school?
I think they were supposed to pour the concrete today for the,
Oh,
for
okay.
the,
That's what
for the landing.
Thank you.
So,
No,
next-
it's fine. I
next
didn't
week?
know they started. Thank you. I wasn't over
Steve,
there.
before you go, I have one other question. I also have an intersection in the West Ward that several people reached out to me, and I don't know if this is on, if this is one that you're looking at, Pearl and Bushkill. One of the residents told me with her kids, she calls it "run for your life" intersection. That's what she jokingly tells her kids when they cross this street. And I did go over and look at it. I think we really need a clear pedestrian crosswalk, preferably with flashing lights. It's a really dangerous spot there. And
Pearl and Bushkill is one of the only intersections in the city that has an unprotected movement. So if you come down Pearl, they're both state roads, and you make the left onto Bushkill, there's no control for either one. So it's actually a sort of an inherent conflict at the intersection. We drew up a plan, if I can explain this right, to take Pearl to a T and stop it, and then cross right in front and let Bushkill flow. So it would be a traditional three-way intersection. And you can do that with paint, which John's group applied for a grant to put new curbing and sidewalk and bump that corner out. And you know what I'm saying. So if you come around Pearl
Yeah.
Street, you just come to a stop sign. And I think that would be a major improvement there.
I think that would be huge for that
So,
neighborhood.
so we should hear about the grant, I'm hoping in like the next month. And if we don't get it, then I think we're gonna do it with paint until we can find enough money to put new curb and sidewalk in. But that would be a perfect example of one that we should probably get on. Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, if there's anything else from council, at this point in the meeting, we have public comment on agenda, on any item concerning the city of Easton.
Basically, questions.
You gotta come up to the microphone, Artie.
This is basically questions I have for you. Arthur Rabbits, 144 Church Street. Sorry, I forgot who I was. I apologize. One, the parking, is that going to include the circle, the parking, meeting summit?
Yes,
Okay, because.
any parking in the city neighborhoods and downtown.
Because I heard a complaint from the
Okay.
couple merchants on the circle, not being effective for their businesses. The second thing is there a date, anyone know of the date of the status of the Jakey Mayer hotel that's going up?
Should be 30 to 45 days.
Okay. Third thing is,
We're happy that it's delayed.
I can see why.
Right around the
Uh,
festival.
is that the Trex grant of $50,000? Was that what?
Trek Foundation.
No.
Yeah,
The Trex Bike Foundation.
Oh, no, that was the 50,000. The 50,000 was the Easton Lions Club.
Oh, okay. I'm
Trek
sorry.
Foundation hasn't told us whether we're getting anything yet, but we
I got
think the meeting went well enough that we'll get it.
Okay.
The Lehigh Valley Community Foundation, we received a $90,000 grant for this bike project.
Right.
And a $50,000 grant to help extend the Carl Sterner Arts Trail.
Okay, last thing I have is the Clam Jam. Could you explain that a little bit? I don't know much about it.
Clam Jam is put on by the 3rd and Ferry Street Fish Market, and it's a smaller festival, but it's getting bigger than it was been. The last years, this year's going to be big. It'll go all on 3rd Street from the Circle down to Larry Holmes Drive, and Ferry Street down to the post office. It's put on by them, and there's all kinds of, obviously, food and alcohol.
Okay, I appreciate it. Thank you, Mayor.
Don't clam up, Artie.
Sal?
Good evening. My name is Sal Pugliese. I live at 2225 Hackett Avenue in Palmer Township. I'm here to object to our act of God tax, which is your stormwater tax. That's for one. Last year when I was here, we had a drought. The winter didn't have a lot of snow. I was laughed at by one of the ignorant council members because I asked for a refund. But anyway, 15th Street has no storm drains, not a one. Wilson Borough don't have them. Easton is dumping theirs into the Wilson Borough side. Wilson said, well, Easton didn't put any. Why should we? Well, you have all the residents that have properties in Wilson Borough that are getting the storm water from Easton and Wilson Borough, but something that the city didn't want to do is screw their neighbors. Well, they're screwing Wilson Borough because Wilson didn't put any, Easton doesn't have any, and we're being flooded. And I'm not going to wait till I get, all kinds of fungus in the basement because I'm taking on water. There's no storm drains on 15th Street, not one. Can you tell?
So it's coming over the curb?
Yes, sir, for the curb.
Going over
There's
the-
not a one.
But I'm saying your gutters are not handling the water that's coming over the curb into your home, into your building.
Well, they just put these handicap ramps in Wilson Borough. So instead of us having a curb, now it just runs over the handicap ramp and comes into our basement. And I don't want mold, Mr. Mayor, because then who do I hold responsible? Wilson Borough? Easton? Oh, ultimately me, the homeowner.
Okay, we'll take a look at it.
I have pictures if you would like to see them during the last storm we had, and you can see that the water, the cars are going through the water and it's splashing all over. And it's coming from Easton and Wilson. Wilson is both, but it seems like Easton's going on to Wilson's. I complained to Wilson Borough about it. I'm coming to see Easton about it because you guys got the stormwater tax. Something's got to be done. You guys got to put, and Wilson has got to put storm drains in for their people.
Well, Wilson will have it as soon as their permit is up and have to renew their permit.
Okay, when's Easton going to do it?
We already did it. That's why we have a stormwater fee.
Okay, so when do we get storm drains?
Palmer Township was just up.
Understand that fee that is for the stormwater is not to put in new stormwater facilities.
It's just another tax.
No, it's there to remove sediment from the water because the sediment's going into the streams and it's polluting the streams. Okay, so this is what's called the MS4 program, and the MS4 program is what that fee is for that, and as we were talking earlier, it's to construct basins. They call them best management practices, in order to remove sediment from the stormwater, not to build new stormwater facilities.
So what we have, and we're just going to...
Well, no, I mean, it's good that you bring it up because it's something that we as a city need to take a look at and see how we can best
I have pictures,
handle
sir,
the
if you'd like
stormwater.
to see it.
Yeah,
I have video of it.
yeah, no, that's fine, but I'm just saying that. Just understand that the fee that we're charging for stormwater is not to build new pipelines and catch basins and things like that. It's to build these facilities that remove sediment. That's what the fee
Well, that's
is for.
what the catch basins are for. The sediment's going to settle in the catch basin.
No, because the velocity inside, we can have an hour lecture on velocity. I can tell you all about velocity of water and how it moves sediment, and that's what happens in the catch basins. The velocity comes through and it flushes that sediment right out, and that's what it goes down to the river. And these best management practices, what they call them, are designed to remove the sediment from the stormwater.
So what is there, like a giant catch basin before it goes to the river? Is that what you're trying to...
Kind of like that, kind of like a detention basin, if you will. Out in townships where you have detention basins, water comes in, and as it sits there, it settles out. And there are other methods which can be applied. our downtown, if you want to take a look at one right down in the circle, that's a best management practice. You go down there, you'll see kind of a small catch basin that has vegetation in the bottom of it. So when the stormwater comes into that, it filters out that sediment, and the cleaner water goes down to the river.
Right, that still doesn't answer the question as far as the problem. The problem is we're taking water on in our basements because.
But all I'm saying to you is you can't equate that to the MS4 program, because the MS4 program is not something that would address the actual stormwater flow in the street.
I just think this is a bunch of double talk, and I'll be honest with you, it's just another tax to put on the taxpayers, sir. And that's my personal opinion on it. All right.
I'm not disagreeing with you, but it is an unfunded mandate that was given to us by the state.
And which
The
came from the
state
federal
said,
government.
"Thou shalt," and we have to do it. So how are we going to do it?
So who do we fight with? The state then, right?
Well, I mean, that's where it came from. The state said,
Well,
"This
I
is the
understand that,
MS4
but
program."
we still have a problem that there's no storm drains, not a one, on 15th Street, not a one.
Okay, and that's, all I was saying is the separate problem. The MS4 program is separate from putting storm drains in.
So we need another tax to put storm drains in.
Well, we could do that. No, I'm just kidding.
I take it you don't live in the city of Easton, right?
Oh, I do.
Oh, okay. All right, thank you for your time.
Thank you,
We
Sal.
still need storm drains, though.
On 15th Street.
Yes,
Well,
sir.
we'll take a look at it.
All right, thank you.
Anyone else like to address City Council? Mel?
Melody Rogers, 710 West Berwick Street, Easton. I want to thank everybody who, Mayor Salpanto, for letting us contribute to our National Night Out that we had. We went and did it anyway because it was sunny out when we did it. We got our hour and a half in. It was wonderful. Thank you for, it worked out good because, yeah, but we had a lot of food, so we needed to give it out because you have to plan for a lot of people. And so thank you for letting us do it. Thank you, Dave Hopkins, the man of the hour. He saved us with a generator and got us a big tent. Although the fun at the end of the night was when it was drizzling a little bit, his guys broke the tent. And he says, please be careful with the tent. And they went over there to take it down, and the whole thing collapsed in front of everybody. That was pretty funny, but I just felt bad for him because they had to deal with him. No, it was all put together, and it was perfect because we have pictures. Yes, we did. We took pictures of how nice it was in case somebody, in case it rained, they could go under it. Crystal, thank you for the slide. We had the kids loved it.
Oh, it's my pleasure.
And Frankie, thank you for calling me 3 or 4 times trying to get me to cancel. That was very good because you're just thinking of us from your heart. We just did it because we wanted just to get it out of the way because you're supposed to have it one day a year, about to go and move it to other days. So this is like our first year that we had actually rain. And out of all the years we've been doing it. So we had probably around 100 people there that showed up, which was great.
My wife didn't have to cook because I brought dinner home.
Oh, yeah, good. We had enough food. Okay, something else I want to ask the council, too. We have a lot of senior citizens that come with wheelchairs and walkers and stuff like that. And so we would like to know if, because they can't walk, the ones with the walkers, they can't walk that far. So they want to know if there's a way that you can put a handicap spot on the West Milton Street entrance. Because they get a wheelchair up or those roller things, they get up. It's so hard for them. Yeah, so we want to know if we can get one in the middle of the block there at that first entrance on West Milton Street, if that would be a possibility. And also, where our pavilion is, the stretch in front where the basketball court is, there's about, about this wide, I guess. And it's all muddy when it rains. It's crazy. And it gets loaded with garbage and stuff. We want to know, to get people to be able to use the pavilion, and that's what they said, if they had a way to get into the pavilion, they would use it and sit up there more often. It's a big step up. If we can get like cement there, maybe just like a little grate or something that they can push up, that something there at that spot, because it just gets muddy and it's really bad. But that was a request from the elderly that want to just use the playground more.
Yeah, you can do the cutout too.
Yeah, true, that's true. And just 1 second, Roger. And also, the kids were upset because we didn't get a movie, and they want to know if we can still get one sometime this summer.
Oh, no, you're going to get one. I don't know. It wasn't delivered to us in time.
No, I'm just in movie screen. We got a movie, but I mean, can we use your movie screen for down Pioneer to show it?
Yeah.
Okay, we'll have to figure out a date what's compatible, because they were upset because they couldn't sit outside. I said, I'm not sitting out in the rain, sorry. There's no way. They just wanted to do that.
Movies were delivered.
Oh, yeah.
We have one in Nevin Park on Monday night.
Oh, yeah, I saw that. Okay, and Roger?
When you were talking about the handicap and the parking space, since you said you were describing that there are several that come.
Yes.
That space maybe shouldn't be a handicap parking space.
Well,
but a
not really
drop-off
parking.
space.
No, yeah, it's a drop-off, but I mean,
Drop-off,
to
yeah.
get up on the curb, to get
Right.
over the curb, if they can make that a handicap that they can just wheel somebody up, it's not, because believe me, one person tire came off because they couldn't get it over the thing, and when they were wheeling, they were forcing it with this woman was heavy, and so the whole wheel come off, and they ended up having to. Good thing she could make it to the car, but then they had to go find, I think Superior helped them with the wheel and get the tire on it. So it was kind of trying for them. And they said, that would be great to have that little spot right there in front of the doorway to come in. And that's where they sit. So they don't have a whole lot of far ways to walk. So that would be great to have that if we could. But other than that, we had a great time. And I want to thank everybody who participated and helped us. It was really nice of you. Thank you.
Thanks for your efforts, Mel and Patty.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Anyone else for council? Anyone else from the public would like to say anything? Ask a question? I'll ask for a motion to adjourn. Oh, Patty. Oh, I'm sorry, Patty.
Patty Hetzel, 424 Iron Street. I had a minute while council meeting was going on to watch the 724 meeting because I wasn't here. I was out of town. There was no disruption whatsoever. It was actually a very polite interruption. It wasn't even an interruption. You were already finished talking when Frank had mentioned if only the non-union workers did the same thing for breaks. So, that's all.
Thank you. I didn't think so either, but what am I? I don't know anything. Anyone else from the public to say anything? Ileana, how you doing? Summer camp's over.
Louis working you hard.
Yes.
Okay, we have a motion to adjourn from Mr. Pinnabone.
Second.
Second by Vice Mayor Brown. Roll call.
Mayor Panto?
Aye.
Mr. Pinnabone? Aye. Mrs. Rose?
Aye.
Dr. Ruggles?
Aye.
Mrs. Sultana?
Aye.
Mr. Brown?
Aye.
Mr. Ettinger?
Aye.
Yeah.